Do y'all like the natural hair? Natural hair hasn't made an appearance since the Craigslist killer. So, let me know what you think. Hello, my name is Cami, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I've also decided a new setup with the microphone right here instead of off the screen. So let me know what you guys think about that too. So, the past several videos have just been horrifying. Before this, we did the Megan Meyer case, and then the one before that, we had the Angela McAnulty case. Once again, I will never misuse any opportunity to say I hate that woman. Then before that, we had the Ketty Cabin murders. So, today we're going to be talking about something a little bit lighter. We're going to be talking about the ImClone, ImClone. It's a insider stock trading case, okay? And it was a big one whenever I was younger. And I just figured we'd do something easier this time. There's no murder in this one. There's no kidnapping in this one. No one's gone missing. Just a simple white-collar crime. So, without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Is that a wasp? I don't like wasps. So, ImClone, or ImClone, like I said, I don't know how to say it, so I'm just going to start calling it ImClone. So it was this biopharmaceutical company, and let me tell you, I am in college for criminology, and I consider myself to be a pretty educated person. I had no idea what biopharmaceuticals were. So I had to Google it. I had to have someone explain it to me as if I am 5 years old. So basically, biopharmaceuticals is basically like biological like medicine. Basically what ImClone was doing was they were developing this drug, and it was like specifically in oncology. And for those who don't know, oncology is like the study of cancer. And I have one of those right now for when I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma back in March of last year. Yeah, I got diagnosed in March of 2020, and it's just I didn't even know there was a name for it. I just thought it was called a cancer doctor. I probably also think that a neurosurgeon is called a brain doctor. So ImClone was founded in 1984, and it had corporate headquarters in Bridgewater, New Jersey, which is like, it's like a commuter town from New York City. Anytime I hear commuter town, I think of that scene from the Powerpuff Girls when they move to Citiesville and they like destroy the bridge. You know?
Nobody actually lives in Citiesville. They commute.
So on October 6, 2008, it accepted a $6.5 billion acquisition from a company called Eli Lilly and Company. Try saying that 5 times fast. You can't. And on November 24th, 2008, the acquisition went through and it became a fully owned subsidiary on November 24th. Prior to this acquisition from Eli Lilly and Company, it was traded on the NASDAQ stock exchange, and it was traded under the symbol IMCL. So like if you ever go to purchase stocks, you can see each company has its like individual symbols. So like GameStop is traded under the symbol GME. So this one is IMCL, short for ImClone. ImClone actually lost its separate identity in 2014 when its manufacturing sites were renamed to Eli Lilly and Company to signify like the merger. And look, I'm gonna be very honest with y'all, I don't know a thing about stock exchange. The closest that I know is like I go on my Cash App, I buy the stocks, I watch them go down or go up. That's what I know. Stonks. Okay, so we're actually going to backtrack a little bit, and we're going to go back to 2001, because that's when everything took place, okay? We're in 2001 now. I was 8 in 2001. So ImClone was developing this drug known as Erbitux, and basically it's an experimental monoclonal antibody, which is another thing that I didn't know what it was. So look, I had to Google this one. I needed someone to explain this to me as if I am a 5-year-old, because when it comes to science, I'm not very smart in science. I'm smart in other things, but not science. Basically, what this means is that an antibody is created by cloning a unique white blood cell. Now, I have a little note here in front of me because I was never going to remember all this on my own. So if you see me looking down, it's because I need to explain exactly what this does. And it's a lot of terms that I don't remember offhand. So basically, this means that a monoclonal antibody is a synthetic version of regular antibodies. They're produced in a lab and they're meant to mimic, restore, inhibit, or enhance the immune system. I'm sorry if you can hear the children outside. I live in an apartment complex and there's nothing that I can do about that. So we're just gonna have to deal. So these monoclonal antibodies can be used to fight things like cancer, rheumatoid arthritis, and multiple sclerosis. Another word that I found that I can't say. Now, they actually function differently depending on what disease they're trying to fight. So, like with cancer, if a cell experiences a genetic mutation, then it's detected and it's repaired or destroyed by the body's immune system. But sometimes the cancer cells can disguise themselves as regular blood cells, and they effectively trick the immune system into thinking they're normal cells. And sometimes it can affect the immune system, like in cancers such as Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is what I had. So these monoclonal antibodies basically take away a tumor's ability to go undetected, and that could also strengthen the immune system. So it does one of the two. Whenever I was getting shots to help boost my immune system when I was actively going through chemo for my Hodgkin's lymphoma, I think that's kind of what they were giving me, because they really just told me that it was shots to help my immune system. So I think that's kind of what I was given, since Hodgkin's lymphoma is a cancer that affects the immune system. And for autoimmune diseases, these monoclonal antibodies can actually help the body's attack on itself, because it can block the proteins that are responsible for destroying the healthy tissue. So ImClone was working on one of these drugs to help, one of these monoclonal antibody drugs that was going to be used specifically to work in colon cancer, and I think cancers of the head and the neck. And eventually this drug did get approved in 2009, but back then it did not get approved by the FDA. And now this. Do y'all remember several months ago when GameStop had that whole insider trading thing where all these people were going to sell off their stocks and try and make a profit? Okay, yeah, that's basically what ImClone did. That's what the whole thing about this is. It's called insider trading, and it's illegal. So because this drug did not get approved by the FDA, this actually led to ImClone's stock dropping drastically. It went from being $60 per stock to being in the teens. So it was a significant drop. Now, if you Google exactly how this drug works in fighting cancer, look, I did. But even after finding sources that would explain it in layman's terms, I still didn't understand it. So you can Google how it works to fight the cancer, but personally for me, it just got very confusing very fast, so I'm not going to go into that. You can find it on your own if you really want to. There's a ton of sources. Even Wikipedia tells you how it does it, I think. So before the stock price started to plummet, a man named Samuel Waskow, so he was the founder of ImClone, and he actually got a tip in December that it was the day before the FDA was set to approve or reject the application, and he actually got an insider tip that said that they were going to reject the application, and he knew that was going to make the stock price plummet. So he's calling all of his associates and all of his friends and family, and he's like, hey, you need to start selling your stock because the price is about to plummet. He was trying to sell 80,000 of this company's stock. So that would have made him a crap ton of money if he sold it at its $60 value, which is where it was at the time. And he also, like I said, he told his friends, his family, and the shareholders, and they ended up selling millions worth of stock. 6 months later is when Sammy was arrested on charges that he acted illegally on inside information when he sold this stock. And he also got charged with advising friends and family to do the same thing. When he called them and he's like, hey, sell your stock because it's about to plummet. Yeah, like I said, that's illegal. They can't do that. So like I said, the official charge names were insider trading. So that's what this is called. Basically, insider trading is whenever you act on information that is not public knowledge to make a profit on your stock. So exactly what was just going on several months ago with the GameStop thing. GameStop, here I go again. He was also charged with bank fraud, obstruction of justice, and tax evasion on $15 million worth of art. I don't know why I'm laughing. Something about that's just kind of funny to me, okay? So, again, I've got a list of what other people were charged in this. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm seeing who was involved and how much they were involved in. So his daughter, Alyssa, it's Laiza, so I don't know if that's Aliza or Alyssa. It looks like it should be Aliza, but I could be wrong. She sold $2.5 million in shares on December 27th. His father, Jack, sold $8.1 million in shares over the 27th and the 28th. Community executives also followed suit. John B. Landis, the general counsel, sold $2.5 million in shares on December 6th. Ronald A. Martell, the vice president for marketing and sales, sold $2.1 million in shares on December 11th, and 4 other executives also sold shares the following weeks as well. June 13, 2002 rolls around, and Samuel goes before like a House Committee Subcommerce hearing, and it's there that he invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and refused to answer any questions that examined the case. And this case actually ended up costing investors millions, as well as disappointed these dying cancer patients. So, I said this is kind of a lighter case, but there were a lot of cancer patients relying on this drug that now we're no longer going to be able to get this drug, that were very, very disappointed. So it's still sad, but I said it was a lighter case in that there's no like graphic depictions of abuse, of murder, anything like that, but it was still really, really sad. I don't feel bad for the investors. I feel bad for the cancer patients because I have strong opinions on billionaires and I don't like them. So I felt bad for the cancer patients. I don't feel bad for the investors. So October 10th, 2002, Samuel's brother Hassal actually ended up taking over as the company's chief before he retired in July of 2003. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't retire. He resigned from the company. And he also ended up testifying before a U.S. House subcommittee. And this subcommittee actually released documents that showed that officers and directors of ImClone sold all their stocks. They ended up selling $70.3 million worth of the company's stocks in total. And he actually sold it weeks before the FDA announced its rejection. So it was way before the stock price plummeted. So on June 10th, 2003, the verdict was in, and Samuel was sentenced to 7 years and 3 months in prison, and he was also ordered to pay more than $4 million worth of fines and back taxes, which was the maximum amount that you could receive. It was the maximum penalties that you could receive for these crimes. So, I guess at least he got something, because most of the time, and I'm sorry if this is controversial, but it's the truth. Most of the time, rich people don't get any punishments for anything. He was released in 2009 from prison, so now he's free. So here is where I remember this case from. July 16th of 2004. Martha Stewart, Martha Stewart that does her videos with Snoop Dogg. They do I think cooking videos. It came out that she was involved in this case, and that was kind of where this kind of became a household name for a while. She got caught up with this when her broker, Peter Bakanovic, I think that's how you say it, told her that the stock was about to plummet. And in response, she sold about $230,000 worth of ImClone stocks. And she did this on December 27th, 2001, a day before it was announced that the FDA had rejected the approval application. Now, the only reason that her involvement even came to light is because Doug Fanuel, Faneuil, I have no idea how to say that name. He was Bakanovic's assistant, and he actually disclosed it to investigators. So throughout this whole thing, Martha Stewart maintained her innocence. She said she didn't do anything wrong, but even despite this, on July 16th, 2004, she was found not guilty, and she was sentenced to 5 months in prison, 5 months of home confinement, and 2 years probation for lying about a stock sale, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. She also had to pay a $30,000 fine for lying about the stock sale. The day after Martha was indicted, she took out a full-page advertisement in USA Today that she basically maintained her innocence, and she also created this website where she could also assert her innocence. She said in this letter of defense that she published on her website, "To my friends and loyal supporters, I want you to know that I am innocent and that I will fight to clear my name. The government's attempt to criminalize these actions makes no sense to me. I am confident I will be exonerated of these baseless charges." So initially her trial was actually set for January 12th, 2004. And at the request of her lawyers, they pushed it back because they said they needed more time to gather evidence to fight for Martha. And eventually, on January 20th, the trial began in New York City, and it was presided over by a person named U.S. District Judge Miriam Goldman Cederbaum. On February 27th, 2004, this judge actually dismissed the charges of the securities fraud, which could have landed Martha Stewart with up to 10 years in prison and a $1 million fine. And the reason that the judge dismissed this is because they said, quote, "No reasonable juror can find beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant lied for the purpose of influencing the market for the securities of her own company." So basically they thought that they couldn't find proof that she lied to make money, is basically what that means. At least that's what I'm inferring from it. So the jury only took 3 days, and the trial lasted about 5 weeks. But on March 5th, 2004 is when she was found guilty. So she was sentenced on July 16th, but they found her guilty on March 5th. And the jury consisted of 8 women and 4 men, and she was found guilty on all 4 counts. And those counts were conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and 2 counts of making false statements to a federal investigator. Now, what's interesting is she was found not guilty of one of the, most publicized crimes. So, basically anytime you saw Martha Stewart's name in, a magazine or a newspaper or anything like that, this was the crime that was always attached to her. And that charge was having falsely claimed that there was an agreement to sell her shares when they fell to $60. I have no idea what that means. I'm not that far in my criminology degree yet, so I don't know what that means. The jury also found that Martha Stewart did lie and obstruct justice on other claims, including the claim that she was reminded of the prior $60 agreement and was urged to sell because of that. So what I'm inferring from that is that people were like, "Hey, remember you said you'd sell your stocks when they hit below $60. So that's what I get from that. So after the jury reached their verdict, she actually posted another message on her website that said, "I am obviously distressed by the jury's verdict, but I continue to take comfort in knowing that I have the confidence and enduring support of my family and friends. I will appeal the verdict and continue to fight to clear my name. I believe in the fairness of the judicial system and remain confident that I will ultimately prevail." So September 15th, 2004 is when Martha Stewart ended up going to the prison to serve out her sentence. So she was accompanied to go serve out her sentence by her lawyers and the board of directors of Martha Stewart Living Omni Media. And she also held a press conference to talk about her decision to basically start serving out her sentence as quickly as possible. So I guess she just wanted to get it over with. And she still continued to say that she would appeal her conviction. So first she was saying, okay, she's still maintaining her innocence, but now she's maintaining her innocence and saying she's going to appeal the verdict that was given and the sentence that she was given. This press conference was broadcasted live, and on September 21st, Colin Firth. The event was featured live on national TV, and on September 21st, the judge that sentenced her ordered her to surrender by October 8th. So whenever she went to go, serve her sentence, she did so in a place called Alderson Federal Reformatory for Women, and it was also known as Camp Cupcake. I couldn't find why it was called Camp Cupcake, just that's what they called it. And basically it's this minimum security prison, so I imagine this cushy jail cell and a cakewalk for Martha Stewart. A cakewalk at Camp Cupcake. Basically, this prison is like the lowest level of security in the Bureau of Prisons, and it's the same place that Billie Holiday was sentenced to, where she had to serve out her sentence for getting arrested with narcotics back in, like, what year was it? Whatever year that was. This is where she served out her sentence. There's no fences on this prison, and inmates are generally able to walk around the prison, and they don't have to have any escorts. And Martha Stewart got along really well with the other inmates, and reportedly her prison nickname was M. Diddy. I've been waiting to say that part. That's my favorite part of this case. M. Diddy. And she got along with her other inmates, like I said, and everyone just kind of really liked her in prison, and she kept herself busy with these assigned cleaning tasks, and she was released on March 4th, 2005. After she was released from Alderson, Martha Stewart began her home confinement in her estate in Bedford, New York. So she's finished her prison part of her sentence, and now she's at the home confinement part. And during her confinement, she was allowed to leave her house up to 48 hours a week so that she could conduct business, but she had to wear an ankle bracelet while she was gone. So just like other house arrest, except not exactly, because with other house arrest, you can't even leave your house, except I think for like maybe hospital visits, and I think for church visits. I think those are the only two times you can like leave your house arrest for normal house arrest people. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I don't know offhand. So on January 6, 2006, the Federal Appeals Court actually denied Martha's request for an appeal, and they upheld the jury's verdict. That being said, it seems like Martha got off pretty easy, and comparatively, she did. So don't take what I'm about to say as me saying, oh, she had it so hard, because she didn't. But she did lose her show. Her show got canceled after being moved to a slot at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So she had this like, I think it was a cooking show. I don't remember. But she had her show move from like the prime time of like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning to now it was being shown at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then it just eventually got canceled. She also had to step down from the board of Martha Stewart Living, so the board of her own company, as well as resigning from Revlon and the board of the New York Stock Exchange. So in October of 2005, Martha tried to go into Canada, but she was informed that because of her status as a convicted felon under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, she was inadmissible for entry into Canada. And the reason that she was going into Canada is because she was supposed to attend the Windsor Pumpkin Regatta in Nova Scotia. That sounds kind of fun, though. The Windsor Pumpkin Regatta. So within 2 days of this story coming to light, the then Minister of Citizenship and Immigration in Canada, who was named Joel Volpe, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anyway, he granted a temporary visa to Martha Stewart so that way she could come to this pumpkin regatta, but it didn't matter in the end because bad weather kept her from going. So I guess she was like, rain, thunder, I can't go. I wish I had rich people problems. And in 2008, the UK Border Agency actually prevented her from going into the UK because of her criminal conviction for obstructing justice. And she had been planning to speak at the Royal Academy on fashion and leisure industry matters. So she couldn't go to that either. So she can't go to Canada. She can't go to the UK. She's just got to stay in the United States. In August of 2006, the Securities and Exchange Commission said that it had agreed to settle the civil case against Martha. And under this settlement, Martha agreed not to serve for 5 years as a director or as the CEO, the CFO, or other officer roles in which she would be responsible for preparing, auditing, or disclosing financial results of any public company. She also agreed to pay the maximum penalty of 3 times the losses she avoided, or $195,000. And that Bakanovic guy also agreed to pay penalties totaling about $75,000 and was barred from associating with a broker, dealer, or investment advisor. So this guy got in trouble too. It wasn't just Martha. This guy got in trouble too. So, jumping off from Martha, because we've pretty much covered everything, we're gonna go back to this Erbitux thing. So in February of 2004, the FDA actually announced that they had approved Erbitux for the use of colon cancer after a clinical trial of like 329 people. And in this trial, 10.8% of patients responded well when Erbitux was used by itself, and it delayed tumor growth for 1.5 months. And when it was used with other types of medication, so like sometimes whenever you have like with, I assume with, it's similar to how with chemo, I had to have 4 different medications used for me. So I assume it's something like that. When it was used with this irinotecan, it saw 22% of patients responding to tumor growth with a delay in the tumor growth of approximately 4.1 months. In January 2006, ImClone went up for bid, but no one wanted to buy it because of the fact that they faced significant competition in the medical marketplace, and they withdrew the sale of the company in mid-2006. So in October of 2006, which was 3 years after Samuel was convicted, a man named Carl Icahn, he acquired the majority of ImClone's stock and took control of the company's board. So they actually had the company for about 2 years until they sold it to Eli Lilly and Company. Now let's talk about this Carl guy for a minute. He is the bigwig of Icahn Enterprises, and they basically deal in like just a plethora of stuff: automobiles, energy, food packaging, metals, real estate, home fashion. They're like the Amway of investments. They own Pep Boys, Tropicana Entertainment, and they also used to own Trump Entertainment Resorts, you know, Trump's chain of like resorts and casinos. Yeah, they oversaw that. He was also a special economic advisor on financial regulation to Trump back in 2017 for a bit, because that's not a conflict of interest at all. This man is also not very well liked, because you know how people don't like Amazon or don't like Disney because they basically buy out all these companies and slap their name on it and a bunch of stuff changes? Yeah, that's why people don't like this guy, because he essentially does that too. So now that we've talked about Carl, let's talk about Eli Lilly. They are known for being the first company to mass produce the polio vaccine. They also currently manufacture Prozac, Zymbalta, and Zyprexa, which are all antipsychotic medications. They were also the first company to mass produce methadone, which is used to treat heroin, opioid, that kind of stuff. And they also basically produce a bunch of big name medicines. And in October of 2008, Eli Lilly wanted to broaden its cancer treatments, so they bought ImClone for about $6.5 million. And this would put their stock at about $70 per share. So Eli Lilly buys it because they want, you know, more cancer treatments, and now ImClone has gone from like in the teens way down there for their stock to being way up there in like $70 per share. Eli Lilly actually beat out Bristol Myers Squibb, who produces the drug Abilify, and they also produce a bunch of like big name drugs, and they were the original partners that were going to sell Erbitux if it had gotten the FDA approval. And it was also reported that at one point Pfizer had tried to buy ImClone as well. Bristol Myers does still sell the drug, but they don't have the exclusive rights for it. And they helped develop the drug, and they offered $62 a share for it, and that's where they're at now. So, that is the story of the ImClone insider trading scandal. You know, I heard about this when I was really little. I think I was like 8, and I had no idea what it was. I just remember one day we were watching Martha Stewart, and my mom was like, "She's going to prison." I'm like, "What's she going to prison for?" And my mom tried to explain it to me, but I was 8, so I had no idea what she was talking about, so I just sat there like, uh-huh, and that was that. So I figured that for a lighter case, I could look into it, see what it was all about, and that's what I found, and that's why I decided to share it. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and let me know if you want more white collar crimes. I know sometimes the like kidnappings and the murders and stuff like that can be a little bit much, so let me know if you would want me to do more white collar crimes to kind of break up the tense stuff. I would love to do a video on burning Madoff if y'all are interested. So I am so glad that you joined me today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!